First is contractual. So the right of the students vis-a-vis or in relation to school is contractual in nature. The school as the first party and the student as the second party are expected to abide by this agreement. So that kung dunay party nga dili mutuman sa ilang gikasabutan, then there is a breach of contract and therefore each of them can look for remedy. Okay? So ang eskwelahan pwedeng ikiha sa estudyante kung dili siya mo deliver sa dapat niyang i-deliver. Kung dunay usa ka maestro nga dili magklase sa iyang mga estudyante, then pwede nga mo reklamo ang estudyante. No? But this is just the irony of it. No? More about this is one thing that many of the students do not fully understand. No? Imagine kung wa'y klase malipay sila. No, yehe, wa na po si sir, wa na po si ma'am. Pero kung ato hunaon kana nga oras, no, for example, 7:30 to 9 nga schedule sa inyong subject, injo na nang gibayran. Okay? And if the teacher will not come and will not be present to recite the class, then mura mo og gipabayad mo nga mutan-aw og concert, gipabayad mo para mutan-aw og sine, pero wa mo'y natanawan kay wa ni abot ang performer. Yan na dapat ang konteksto sa atong paghuna-huna nga because you are paying for the hour, you are paying the instructor, it is the responsibility, it is the duty of the teacher to really come to school, no, and recite the class and give lecture. Pero surprisingly, ang mga estudyante malipay kung dili mo tungha ang maestro. Dihado sila, alkansi sila tungod kay ilang gibayran, padadyon nga nagdawat og sweldo ang maestro, wa niya trabaho eh. Very sad. Okay? But anyway, because of the free tuition, no, dili na burden ang mga estudyante nga mobayad og tuition, no, because it is now the government that is paying for you your tuition. Pero ang dihado karon ang mga taxpayers, no, tungod kay ang gibudget sa gobyerno sa inyong tuition mao ang taxes, mao ang buwis nga gihatag sa mga tao sa gobyerno. Nevertheless, this is the point of the contractual nature of the relationship between the school and the students. Ang estudyante, once he paid for the tuition, he can already demand for what he is expecting from the school, instruction, and eventually ang degree, ang diploma. On the other side, no, the school expects the student to abide by all its requirements, by all its rules and regulations. Tanan ng mga output nga isang mga doon dapat i-deliver sa estudyante. And when all these conditions, terms and conditions have been met, then there is a perfection and the carrying out of the contract. Nasabtan ba ko? Do you have any question with regard to contract? Contract is a written agreement between two parties. In this case, the school and the student. And you know, in a contract, when one of the parties do not follow, do not observe, or do not carry out the terms and conditions contained in the contract, muna gitawag nato nga breach of contract. Ug kinsa man galitong ning breach, ning lapas o ning violate sa contract, do na siya tulubagon. Pwede siyang ikiha, or there can be consequences that can be meted or that can be imposed because the contract has been violated. Clear? Very good. Another perspective or theory pertaining to the student's rights in relation to the school is privilege theory. In this perspective, education is considered a privilege. Let us look into this very carefully. Now, in the Philippines, education is a right. In basic education, it is a right. Every child must be in school. That is why the government is establishing schools in almost every barangay to make sure that the students, that a child will be able to attend to school. So it is a right of a child to be in school. So as I mentioned earlier, because it is a right, it can be demanded. It can be claimed. Unfortunately, sa atong katilingban, especially if we go to the barangay or the barrio, you can see children, no, even during school days, nga dapat unta tuasod sa eskwelahan, and yet tuwa sa karsada ning tabang og buwad sa humay or tuwa sa kabasakan gisugo ni tatay ug ni nanay. And that is a violation of the right of a child, because at his age, it is his right, ijang katungod nga dapat tuwa siya sa eskwelahan. Mabitaw na nga, if in case this situation is happening, then the teacher or any barangay official or DSWD can call the attention of the parents, because what he or they are doing is a violation of the rights of a child. Dili dapat magtrabaho ang bata ni ini nga edad, no? Rather, he or she must be inside the school studying. And in fact, no, gihimo nga free sa gobyerno ang basic education. No, if you are studying in the public school, so from grade 1 or kinder this time, kinder until senior high school, you are paying nothing, because this is free. Education must be accessible to all, no? Because the government recognizes that it is a right, no? Usa ka katungod nga dapat i-claim, nga dapat i-assert sa mga bata. They must be in school. It is their right. But once you enter tertiary education, you go to college. This time, education is no longer a right, but rather it is now considered a privilege. What do we mean by privilege? No. Unsa man ang pribilehiyo? Unsa man ang privilege? Well, privilege is something, no, it can be enjoyed, that cannot be availed of by everybody. Okay? So, kana bitang musakay ka og barko padong sa Cebu, it will be a privilege if you can afford, no, nakaikabayad, it can be a privilege to you to get cabin. No? Ato ka sa cabin, ang imong accommodation is cabin, or in duhara mo nga to sa kwarto o tulora mo sa kwarto, and it is fully air conditioned and there is its own toilet. Pero kung wa kay ika-afford, you will just be contented with the economy, nga labay-labajan ang imong higdaanan, nga when you use the toilet, mag-antos ka sa kaaslom sa imong mag-antos ka sa kaaslom tungod kay nag-alingasa ang kabaho sa ihi. Okay? So, this is what we mean by privilege. Nga, it is a comfort, it is something that is nice, but cannot be availed by everybody. Only those who can afford. And there are other forms of privileges. Okay? So, this concept can also be applied in education. Basic education, it is a right. Nobody must left behind. Everybody must be in school. But when we speak about tertiary education, college education, it is now a privilege. What is the proof that it is a privilege. If you remember, when you were still to enroll at SLSU, you took entrance examination. Okay? So, the entrance examination is an instrument or a tool in order to limit the number of students and the kind of students who can enroll teacher education. So, kung atong tan-awon ang number of applicants, number of enrollees, perhaps there can be 1,000 or 700, but only 400 were enrolled. Asa man pa dong tung sobra? Sila tong wa makapasar, no? In fact, I have a niece, no? Estudyante po sa atong eskwelahan. When she enrolled, when she took the entrance examination, she really expected, no, to be accepted in the teacher education. But unfortunately, no, her score did not qualify, no? So even if I was an insider of the institution, I was still the campus director of Tomas Opus, but I can do nothing about it because that is the standard of the school. So bisag pag umangkon ka naho tungod kay wa ka kapasar, I cannot make things so that you can just be accommodated in the teacher education department.